All right. Should be able to hear me now. Mic check, mic check. Let me know if you all can hear me. Let me actually grab chat real quick. Cool. Still quick audio check. Hopefully there's like one person at least watching. If not, I'm just going to assume the audio works. And if it doesn't, then we're all screwed. Oh man. Guess we're going in blind. Or I guess going in deaf maybe. Not really much to talk about. Bitcoin's just been going up. So that's kind of good because if you hold any Bitcoin, it's gone up in value, but also because I can make this video shorter. There's less shit to talk about. So yeah, first, I'm not drawing this to impose some bearish bias that I have. I'm drawing this to show my reasoning for where a bias might shift, or where you can expect for me to look for it to shift. As you can see, and this is using the closes of the candles, right? So as you can see, we have been making lower highs. I'm on the weekly time frame. Lower highs and lower lows. Right? So essentially what I'm looking at, it's what everybody should be looking at. Because that being said, this is the last high that we made, right? Here, we're looking for a weekly close. Let's make it purple. Make it thick, and weekly close above this line. Now we can make a weekly close above this line. That will constitute a higher high on high time frames. I'm considering this to be it depends on your scope of time. It's literally all subjective. Pick whatever you want. For me personally, I'm going to say this is midterm, where I consider on the length of years to be long term. But we've been in this downtrend for 32 bars, which is on the weekly, so 32 weeks. Pretty decent amount of time, couple months, definitely over half the year. So that being said, this is like the midterm view for me. If we break it or close above it, then that will make our first higher high on this time frame. And on the other hand, we don't necessarily even need to close above 9.6K. Or if you use the wicks of the candles, this is about 9.9K above this range. But we also can very much, bulls have put themselves in a great position to a point where they can close with a lower high here, but that's okay because all they need to do is make a higher high and then try and push through, right? Literally, as long as bulls can defend this zone, pretty much everything below this high or this low here, as long as they can defend that and make a higher low, then they're in pretty good shape to try and change the trend and end the bear market. But until that happens, Really not looking for shorts or for longs like that. Does not mean there are not long, opportunities and long trades to be had. There are plenty. There was one right here. And there's been one this whole run up. But yeah, just want to throw that out there first. That's kind of like what we're looking at. We're looking at this low and this high to see if we make a higher low and then break that high, or if we just go ahead and break this high right now. Now, that being said, the highs that are currently in the way of possibly making that higher high now, or the resistances, that are currently in the way of making that higher high now, are this weekly order block. This really isn't the most accurate because you kind of have to include this wick because that's where the selling starts, right, into this candle. But it's actually, let me zoom in. 3 day is a good one. This candle, get that upper wick. So this resistance is in the way, and then if you go to the daily, this resistance in the way. Both of these stuck out like sore thumbs. So it's a 3 day order block and a daily order block. These are currently the resistances that we're facing. Looking at fibs, we're actually interacted with the 61.8, and we seem to have crossed that, closed slightly above it on the daily chart. This recent daily was extremely bullish. We'll see what this daily looks like. If it continues to be bullish, this is ridiculous. The bull trend, just to be honest, if you're looking at trying to draw a trend line, I don't even know how you draw it. Like, I honestly don't know how you draw it. It's something like this. It's really not even worth trying to draw a trend line, to be honest. Right? That's really what the trend line has looked like. Very little pullbacks, and that's concerning. Yeah. So, in a situation like this, really what you care about is where the resistance is at. Let me put these fibs back real quick. So, you have this resistance that we're currently facing. This is a decent resistance to pay attention to. Might be some stops here. Stops above here. Let's see, and then this resistance, really the only ones until we get to this top up here. And then you care about where the supports. So there's a support level. Well, it really depends on where we top out, but let's say this was the local top. There's support here. Let me look to the left. Yeah, pretty decent level right here. Trying to fit it near where the 50% retracement is. Would be a good one. But yeah, somewhere about right there. This would be support, possibly, if a pullback occurred. Of course, this block right here, this area of consolidation, that would be a support if a pullback occurred. You can even really extend it to, if you look on the weekly, really what this whole order block was that we kind of just smashed through. all this is now support. So these are the most recent supports, places you could possibly look at to start going sideways. If we do pull back, or go for a bounce if we pull back, and here are the resistances. But right now, Bitcoin's really on a tear. It's overbought by all like oscillator metrics for the most part. Slower ones like Cripps wave trend isn't quite there, but it's for sure very close. But yeah, so it's overbought by all price action indicators. But just looking at volume, I mean, it's not overbought. It's volume is increasing as price is increasing. This is very bullish behavior. Nothing about that says overbought. It just means very strong trend. So that's something to keep in mind, especially as we continue to see price do, stuff like this. Like this is the trend line really. It's just going up. It's just parabolic. So yeah, volume extremely bullish. Going along with price, nothing out of whack there. Very much pushing this upper B band. Closed outside of it, and now we're about to push it even more. So that's incredible. Looking at, oh no. Huh. I thought I changed this indicator. Okay, let's see. I just want the 50, the 100, and the 200. I hope that's this. I'm pretty sure this is for sure the 200, the red. Make these thicker. Well, actually, make this thicker. That one. So the red is the 200. The 100 is blue. And the 50 is green. So on the daily, we actually haven't had a bullish cross. We're still pretty bearish. This actually looks like an alligator. Interestingly enough, I'm surprised I chose this color scheme. But yeah, so we haven't had a bullish cross on the 50 and the 100, or the 50 and the 200 EMAs on the daily. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. When did we cross bearish? We crossed bearish here, and then we actually pumped above it, floated above the 200 for a little bit. Didn't really get any good separation, and then we actually had a bullish recross. That didn't work out, and then recross bearish all the way down to where we are now. So that would be something to look for, a situation where now we're above the 200. See if we don't get that much separation. Here we got about about 14% of separation from the 200 EMA. Right now we're at about 7, almost 8%. So about 14% of separation would be somewhere, in this area. It may even be less if you want to count. Yeah. So we may want to look for that. Something where we don't get a lot of separation. We kind of float above the 200 EMA briefly. And then see if the 50 crosses above the 200. That would be interesting. I know a good system that Carpe Noctem on Twitter, Josh, uses is he'll look for the EMA cross first. So he'll wait for the 50 to cross the 200. And then that's like, well, first price has to cross above the 200. So that's step one, which that's occurred. Step two, is the golden cross. So the 50 needs to cross above the 200. That's step 2. Step 3 is then you have a pullback. Now I forget if the pullback is to the 50 or the 200, but there needs to be a pullback to the EMAs. Right now, bulls haven't been giving anything back, so that's currently what we're looking at. Also, I kind of want to correct this wrong. I don't want you all to keep watching my videos if I keep doing stupid shit. Well, I mean, that's fine if I keep doing stupid shit. The point is you should learn from it. And if I make a mistake, I for sure want to like point that out, especially when I preach about this all the time. So the wedge I showed you all yesterday was just horribly wrong, and I'll show you why it was wrong. Let me see. I think I was trying to draw a wedge like this or something similar to this, and we broke up. So I want to show you why this was not a valid wedge, and it makes perfect sense that we broke up. It's because the volume profile doesn't match the pattern. Wedges, especially rising wedges, are supposed to have declining volume from the base to the top. This literally had the opposite. It had increasing volume. So I don't know why I didn't check that. It was just complete lapse in my thought process. I just showed you something just horribly wrong. So didn't want to let that just go under the radar. I had to make sure I let y'all know this is for sure not a wedge. So, and that is why the volume profile has to match the pattern. If you ever see a pattern and you want to know is it valid or not, you can usually just Google it, like volume profile of, insert pattern, rising wedge, ascending triangle, diamond top, whatever. But yeah. So that being said, I'm not even gonna lie, I wouldn't short right now. It just doesn't make sense. We're entirely too bullish. And if you did short, you'd be trying to catch a top. What you should do if you do want to short is wait until we stall or give like a brief pullback, something like here, and then see if on like the daily or intraday, if it's happening too quickly, zoom in and see if you can find volume divergences, and then short that. But right now, if you're not long, don't go long. And so that is something I do stick by here, saying don't go long, don't buy, just because there was no pullback. I did post on Twitter, not my main Twitter, but my chart Twitter, some possible Wyckoff accumulation or distribution patterns. I think I talked about this on yesterday's video. Now, I presented both the accumulation and distribution scenarios. So if you were convicted in the accumulation scenario, then yes, it did make sense to buy in here, and you would have caught this. But if you're not really looking at Wyckoff and you're looking for just like price to move in waves, I mean, this is still very much just like one large wave. And there's been no pullback at all, right? So it's hard for me to tell somebody to go long here, even though we're extremely bullish, if there's no type of pullback. So wait for a pullback if you want to go long. Don't go short because that's going against the short-term trend. No pun intended. Let's see. Possible resistances, of course, pick any fib. But if you want to be specific, definitely this area right here where I have this dotted purple line could be a good place to short. Or, I mean, good place to see where resistance might kick in. The current zone we're in now, again, a 3-day order block that we're currently facing. And to be honest, if you want to draw it like this, you could. This 3-day just started today, so it won't finish for 2 more daily candles, the one we're on now and the next one. So you probably won't get confirmation if we rejected or broke through this until a little later. And then let's see, that's pretty much it. And here's like very obvious support area. Anytime there was resistance that was broken, flip it to support. So this zone or this line has been a historic like level that prices interacted with. So that might work as well. Or whenever we top out, draw a fib, and maybe not the 50, but maybe like the 38.2 or 23.6 will be areas of support. So really just depends on when we top out, which, I mean, who knows? We're looking pretty bullish right now. No pullbacks at all. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, somebody put in the chat BitMEX record volumes. Right now I'm looking at, I just pretty much took the BitMEX and Bitfinex symbols, divided them in half. But yeah, I mean, there's been some record volumes, a lot of buying going on, genuine buying, not bullshit either. So I highly doubt exchanges are faking this amount of volume. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Can't really think of anything else. Y'all know I'm still looking at 5K. We switch to the monthly chart real quick. You know I'm still looking at this right here. A return to that level. And yeah. So I'll see you all later.